Ever get stuck trying to write something, even if it's not for school, like trying to sound halfway intelligent in an email?
Uh-huh. Yeah, we've all been there.
Now imagine being a PhD student, and not only are you writing a paper, but you're tackling an entire book.
I can't even imagine.
Daunting, right? That's what's so cool about the study we're diving into today. PhD students wrote a book about their experiences in academia.
That's awesome. What's the study called?
It's called Learning Together Through Collaborative Writing: The Power of Peer Feedback and Discussion in Doctoral Writing Groups by Cahusac-Decoe and Pretorius from this year. It follows a group of PhD students from different social science backgrounds at an Australian university who team up for this massive writing project.
So what do they write about?
Well, they used a method called autoethnography.
Auto what now?
Autoethnography. Basically, they use their own stories and experiences to explore what it's like to be a doctoral student.
So it's like a behind-the-scenes look at their academic journeys.
Totally. And get this, they actually published a book.
Wow, that's impressive. How did the researchers study this whole group dynamic?
They used something called the Communities of Practice framework.
Okay, and what is that?
Well, think about it like this. Remember that feeling when you connect with people who are just as obsessed with something as you are.
Like a sports team or a band.
Yeah, exactly. We all gravitate toward those groups where we can geek out about something we love, whether it's music or even a podcast.
Right. You learn by doing, by sharing tips, by being part of the group.
So this writing group became their own little support system, a place where they could bounce ideas off each other, share their writing struggles.
And push each other to grow. Like a book club. But instead of just reading, they were creating.
Exactly. And because of their shared passion for research, the challenges, the feedback, they became a mini community of practice.
They were each other's sounding boards and cheerleaders. Sounds
Yeah.
like the perfect recipe for success.
So we've got these PhD students huddled together, pouring their hearts into this book.
Makes you wonder what they learned along the way, right?
Totally. Was it smooth sailing? Did they become best friends?
Well, writing a book is never easy, even with a good team. But that's what makes this study so fascinating.
So what did they find?
They uncovered 5 major themes about collaborative writing, and they actually used quotes from the students, which is really cool.
I love that. It makes you feel like you're right there with them. Okay, so what was the first big takeaway?
The first theme was same, but different. Everybody has a story.
Meaning?
One student, Sonia, said it best, everybody has a different story, which is both fascinating and surprising to take as a lesson. Seems obvious, but
When you're caught up in your own stuff, it's easy to forget that everyone else is going through their own struggles too.
exactly. We get
Yeah.
tunnel vision. And for these PhD students, realizing they weren't alone in their struggles, that was huge.
Because it created a sense of community.
Exactly. Which is so important in academia where it can feel really isolating.
Okay, what about theme number 2? What else did they discover?
This one really resonated with me. It's called, I am not alone, everyone has problems.
Don't we know it?
Harry, one of the students, said, I learned that I was part of a larger body of students struggling to create new ideas while also maintaining a healthy life-work balance.
It's easy to feel like you're the only one struggling with imposter syndrome.
Totally. But acknowledging those struggles out loud, it can be really empowering.
Because you realize everyone feels that way sometimes.
Exactly. These students realized feeling overwhelmed or stuck was normal.
And sharing those feelings actually helped them create a more supportive environment.
Absolutely. Okay, ready for theme number 3?
Hit me.
Theme number 3 gets to the heart of the writing process. Writing is hard, but feedback helps.
So true. Feedback is everything.
This is where the Communities of Practice framework really comes into play. It's about providing that constructive feedback in a supportive way.
Yeah, we all need that friend who's not afraid to tell us when we have something in our teeth. But they also have your back, you know?
You hit the nail on the head. One of the students, Cherry, described it as finding a critical friend, someone who gives honest feedback without being a jerk.
Someone who helps you make your work the best it can be.
And that kind of feedback can make the whole writing process so much less intimidating, wouldn't you say?
100%. Speaking of feedback, I'm curious about the book's editor. How did they handle critiquing their peers' work?
That's a great question. And the study actually addresses that. Editor, Basil, said it was tough at first.
I bet.
Because it's one thing to edit a stranger's work.
But when it's your friends,
Totally different story. But he realized his responsibility was to the quality of the book.
Even if it meant having some uncomfortable conversations.
Exactly, which is a good lesson for all of us. Sometimes giving feedback is hard, but it's how we grow.
Okay, what about theme number 4? This is getting juicy.
Theme number 4 is about the power of perspective. You can learn a lot from looking at others' work.
2 heads are better than 1.
Or in this case, several PhD-level heads are better than one.
Right.
One student, Melissa, said, "By reading other students' work, I realized my own mistakes. For example, writing good paragraphs."
It's so true. Sometimes we don't even realize our blind spots until someone points them out.
100%. For these students, reviewing each other's work wasn't just about catching typos. It was about seeing different writing styles and expanding their knowledge.
It's amazing how much more you can learn when you're working together with other people.
It's like that synergy thing,
Yeah.
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. And that brings us to the final theme from the study, right?
Right? Theme number 5, experiential learning makes hidden practices visible.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing. What kind of hidden practices are we talking about here?
Well, it's not as mysterious as it sounds. One of the editors, Lynette, said, "I did not know anything about writing an academic book, so in many ways, I was learning with them."
Wait, so even the editor was learning along the way.
Exactly. It was a learning experience for everyone involved.
That's really cool. They were all figuring things out together in real time.
Absolutely. They were demystifying the process of academic publishing, which can seem so intimidating and opaque.
It's like learning by doing. Instead of just reading about it in a textbook, they were out there getting their hands dirty, making mistakes, and figuring it out as they went.
Precisely. And through that process, they were not only creating a book, they were creating a community of practice.
So it wasn't just about the final product, it was about the journey and the connections they made along the way.
Exactly. They were sharing their knowledge, their vulnerabilities, and their passion for their research.
This study is really making me think differently about collaboration. It's not just about getting the work done, it's about learning and growing together.
Absolutely. And, it doesn't have to be a PhD project. This applies to so many areas of life.
Totally. So if a group of PhD students can write an entire book together, imagine what you, the listener, could achieve with the right support system. What could you create if you found your people, embraced feedback, and weren't afraid to make a few mistakes along the way? That's something to think about.
Food for thought.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and remember, keep those minds buzzing.